Hello, everyone. It's Jane for Student Pages. Hope you're all doing well today. Today we are here with Nic Myres. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, you have scored the role of Kathryn in Cruel Intentions, yeah?
Yeah.
So, how's that got you feeling?
Oh, it's fabulous. It's so much fun. It's like an excellent night out for us doing it and anyone coming to watch. So yeah.
Nah, that's awesome. So, taking a step back from that announcement particularly,
Mhm.
what got you personally interested in theatre and acting and that kind of thing?
I've always done it. I believe when I was about 6, I asked my mum for tap lessons, and I don't know where I got that from, but I think that was the first thing I asked for. And then it became singing lessons, and then it became acting lessons, and then it was when I was 9. There was an Amdram group, like a youth theatre group, and I was like, well, I want to do that because I think an older girl in my dance school was maybe doing it, and you just kind of like start joining in with everything, and then all of a sudden it was my whole life for the last 20 years.
Wow, quite the quick advancement there.
Yeah, the snowball effect was real. Honestly, it was just every single night after school, Saturdays, Sundays, rehearsing, dance school, singing lessons, exams, just everything.
That's awesome. So for the Cruel Intentions announcement, what was it particularly about Cruel Intentions that made you want to be a part of it?
I think the same as every job I've done. I don't particularly think, oh, I really want to do that, or I'm desperate to do that, or I'm perfect for that until I get the tape kind of across my desk or the audition. And then I go, actually, maybe I would enjoy that. And I did the tape, which was we had to sing 2 90s pop songs as the audition and do some scripts, do some material. And I thought, you know what, this is really fun. And I watched the film because I hadn't actually watched the film at the time because I'm far too young. So I watched
Well,
the
yeah.
film. Yeah. So I watched the film and after the audition came across me and I loved it. I was like, this is raunchy. This is raunchy. This is sexy. This is it's just very it's on the borderline the whole time of being like inappropriate. Um and it's just brilliant. I thought, yeah, I want a bit of that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And there's some great music in it as well, right? Yeah,
Oh,
especially in the version you're going into. It's like, oh my goodness,
yeah,
some
banger
great
after
songs.
banger. If you're from that, like, if you're born in the 90s or you grew up in the 90s or you grew up in the 2000s, it's all of that. Like, we've got Christina, NSYNC, Boys to Men, Gwen Stefani, just like all the good stuff.
Britney
It
Spears,
feels,
right?
yeah, Britney. It feels nostalgic to me, even though it's slightly before, just a few years before my kind of like peak music listening preteen era. Um, but even then, yeah, they're just great tunes.
Yeah. So your character Catherine, she's very deceptive, and it's like a very
Mm.
romantic character as well. What's it? What's sort of the mindset you have to go into to play a character like that on stage, and what's your personal sort of, I don't know, prep? Like, how do you sort of do that?
Catherine, Catherine is interesting to me because I've never played the baddie, if you like quote unquote the baddie or the villain, which she absolutely is. She is a piece of work, and I think I've never done that. I've often done the comedy parts or the kind of the friend or the nice joyous like come in and sing a funny song parts. Um,
Yeah.
so or Sally Bowles, which is obviously she's got a heart wrenching story and she's absolutely not the villain in that story. Um, so, Catherine, I had to approach it with a kind of, okay, let me figure out what I like about her, what I can relate to about her. And that ended up being like, well, she's very confident, she knows who she is, she knows what she wants. And I was like, I can get on board with that. I like that about her. I empathize with her. I think she sees the difference between men and women, between her and Sebastian, how they're treated in society. And I think that deeply irks her. I think that she's very hurt by that. So I was like, okay, that's another thing I can grasp onto to kind of like empathize with her. Because if you're playing a terrible person, it's quite easy to fall into like a, well, she's just terrible, so she's just being awful. So what's the point? Um, kind of thing. But I try not to do that. So I find all the things that I can relate to and I like about her, despite her awful motives.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually, because I think once you could understand a villain's sort of sort of their methodology and their reason behind what they do. It's like sometimes it kind of is like, eh, they got a point.
Yeah, it's like, oh, and some people have said to me towards the end of the story, if you don't know it, I won't spoil anything. But some people have said to me, do you know, I kind of felt sorry for her. And I was like, interesting. She is an awful person. Everything that happens, everything that goes wrong in the plot is down to her, like, puppeteering, and her mastermind villainy. But yet you feel sorry for her at the end. And I was like, that is my job done.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you could achieve that, then yeah, I suppose you've done something right at that point. So, so sort of through the process of working on the show and things, what have been some of your biggest like triumphs and also some of your biggest challenges on sort of that process?
Ooh, I would say the biggest challenges for me have been it's a very big sing. Kathryn has about 9 songs in total. All of them are relentless kind of belts up there. So it's a big thing. It's the biggest thing I've had to do 8 times a week. So that was probably the biggest challenge when I was heading into it, rehearsing for it, and like the first couple of weeks of shows. I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to manage myself and my body and my voice in order to do this 8 times a week and do it well? So that's going to be an ongoing challenge, to be honest, until the end of the tour. Um, it's exciting to learn what your voice and your body is capable of doing that you didn't think it was. Yeah, so I'd say that's my biggest challenge. My biggest, what was it, triumph?
Yeah, sort of like something
Hmm.
you've done that you've thought that was pretty great.
Just in this show, in this process.
I mean, sure, yeah, let's go with that for now, and then we might go into some of the wider stuff.
I would say kind of similarly, it's when I did my first 8 show week and came out of it alive and being like, do you know what, I was happy with that. Or I that felt really healthy and it's in a good place. And that was a big triumph for me. And I just hope that continues until June. I would say
Yeah,
that, yeah.
all right, cool. Yeah, totally. I think you deserve to sort of have that, sort of pride in that sort of aspect. So
Yeah.
for the show in particular, there's a lot of I think there's a relationship between like movies and on stage performances. Like especially recently when we've had like Wicked come out and things like that.
Yeah.
But I would also argue there's a magic to seeing something live as opposed to seeing it as a film. So for Cruel Intentions specifically, what
Yeah.
do you think makes it draw so much as a stage performance as opposed to the movie version?
I think that's a good question. I think obviously taking the music out, because we are a musical, of course, and the film wasn't a musical.
Mhm.
The music adds a lot to like the music evokes so much in people, whether it's like nostalgia or oh, I remember that song. I cried about my first breakup with my first boyfriend to that song, or that song was played at my 18th birthday, and the feeling of like elation and joy. I think the music adds to all those emotions that we already have going in the story. Um, but in terms of if it was just the play, it's basically verbatim the script from the film. So we're just completely taking that, which is an excellent script. The writing is fabulous. It's witty, it's sharp, it's quick, it's pacey. So we've just plopped that straight on stage. I think people enjoy reliving that, but with people who obviously we don't look the same because we can't. Um, so it's like bringing a fresh what does like Nicola's life experience compared to Sarah Michelle Gellar's life experience bring to this exact same script and this exact same character? I think that's always quite exciting to watch on stage, no matter who it is or what it is. So it's probably that.
Okay, yeah. So for for the show,
Mm.
what sort of your favorite? Is there like a particular act or scene that you've particularly enjoyed doing?
Yes, I enjoy the end of Act One, which is a big it's how you round off any first act, to be honest. But it's a big coming together of you see all the people that Kathryn's messed about with and ruined their lives. They sing a bit of this and they sing a bit of that song and they sing a bit of this song, and she's just in the middle taking it all in, like, look what I've done, and that is so fun to play. And the song I'm singing throughout all of that is Only Happy When It Rains, which is a banger. So
Yeah.
all of that kind of like her stirring all the pots. That's a fun moment for me. And then I'd probably say my favorite scene is the end with Will, who plays Sebastian. That blow up of their relationship and everything that's happened in the plot. That blow up scene is probably my favorite.
Yeah, no, because I think going back to what you were saying about the end of Act One, I think all stage shows need like I don't know if this is a hot take or anything, but I've always thought that the end of Act One should always feel like an ending, and then Act Two should make you sort of recontextualize that and give it a different ending. I always think if you can cut off a show at Act One and you still have a cohesive story, that's good on its own. But if you can make it a
Mm,
bad ending, that's awesome.
mm.
I saw Into the Woods pretty recently, and I love how it's just a good ending with the end of Act One, and then you
Yes, it
carry it
could
on to
end
Act
at the
Two,
end of
and it's
Act
just
One.
a darker ending.
Yeah.
Like I love a show that can do that. I think it's such a cool feature to have.
Yeah, I do get that. Our end of Act One is kind of the other option to that is like leaving it on a cliffhanger because obviously you had to split the film somehow into two
Mhm.
parts. And I think the place where we've chosen to split it is an excellent place. I think it leaves the audience going, oh my God, what's just happened? This is chaotic. We get that word a lot. This is chaotic. And what is going to happen next? If they don't know the film, go, oh my God, what is she going to do next? And I think that's where we leave our Act One, which is very fun.
Yeah, a bit of a cliffhanger for people there.
Mm,
So, for people that have never seen anything to do with Cruel Intentions, like at all,
mm.
this is your chance to sell it, right? Can you describe it in one sentence? Like,
Oh my goodness.
no, you don't get a paragraph, you don't get multiple sentences, just the one sentence. How would you sell it?
Okay, I'm gonna quickly mull. So, two ultra rich Manhattan step siblings
Mhm.
invoke chaos and destruction to every innocent person around them.
Okay, all right. I see the vision. I see the
See the
vision.
vision
Yeah. No, all right. Okay. No,
in the
that's a
90s.
good way. In the 90s. In the 90s. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it. Yeah. Cool. No, that's a very blunt but very clear way of putting it.
Yeah, you wanted
So
one sentence.
yeah, well, I got one sentence, It's like I couldn't have asked for more, really. Um, so what skills have you sort of needed in your career? So taking a step back from Cruel Intentions specifically, to get
Mhm.
into what you're doing now, what skills have you sort of needed to get to the point where you're able to be cast in things like this?
I trained at drama school. I went to Arts Ed for 3 years. And I think that school kind of gave me all the tools, if you want to call them tools to be able to play the industry and be in it. So the obvious is singing, acting, dancing, if you want to be in musicals. That typically the trifecta that you need. um, Aside from that, I think skills such as like being a storyteller can kind of go across all three of those disciplines, like telling the story, conveying whatever you want to convey to the audience is a different skill in itself to just like being able to point your toes or do a pirouette or sing a top C. I think that storytelling is the and being clear with your intentions. I think that's a skill in itself, and I think I gained that more from jobs than rather than at drama school. So just like being in amongst it and watching from like older peers or people who've been in the game for 20 years. Yeah, that's a skill. What other skills? The skills like um, taking how to rehearse. I think is a skill in itself, like how to take notes and how to be an active member of a group when you're creating something and being collaborative with other people, with a creative team or an MD or other actors. I think that's another skill. Um, yeah, I can't think of anything more.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, totally. I guess they are the attributes. I sort of again, it's like so personally, I went to a drama school for like 7 years, and yeah, it's like they very much shadowed a lot of that similar advice, because I think there isn't really a textbook or like a rule book as to how you break into something like this. I suppose it is just a case of be good at what you do.
Be good at what you do, love what you do, I think, even more importantly, and be good to work with and be a nice person. I think, honestly, that will get people further than I think they realize. Being a joy in a room will bring you back for, if you've done one job, will bring you back for another job and another job after that. Or when people think, oh God, I need someone who can learn things quickly and can belt really well. Like, do you know anyone? And people go, I loved working with that person. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like knowing the right people at the right time in the right place, I guess.
Yeah. And always just throwing yourself into stuff.
Yeah. So, what's been your favorite role that you've ever played then? Like, in everything you've ever
Mhm.
done, what's sort of been the number one for you? Or has there even been one? Is it a
Yeah.
contest?
Yeah, it was Sally Bowles. I don't think you can reasonably say that there is any better part for women in musical theatre. It's
Mm.
Sally Bowles. She's the part, um, which was a privilege, and I can't believe I did it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I genuinely, like, I can't imagine being in your shoes, It must be so awesome to be able to play so many different parts and have people there watching, in such amazing
Yeah,
places as well. It's like
yeah,
that's got to be unfathomable to sort of be on a stage like that. That must be so amazing for you.
yeah. It's a privilege, and it's what I think. Taking a step back once a week, twice a week, to go, oh my God, if 14-year-old me knew this was happening, it's the dream for so many people, and for it to be able to happen through, luck, hard work, um, dedication, and passion, and just loving it. I feel like the fruits of all of that coming together, it's joyous.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, based on like your own personal experiences, do you have any specific advice for like aspiring performers who are looking to sort of get into professional theatre? It's like again, I'm aware we've been over like this sort of not a specific way of doing things, but again, for people sort of my age, like student level,
Yeah,
like teenagers, early 20s sort of thing, what would you suggest?
I would suggest. So is this coming from the angle of not training at a kind of formal drama school, kind of going it alone, if you
Yeah,
will?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is a rough ride going it alone. Having an agent is going to be the biggest thing to help anyone. Reaching out to agents, and in doing that, recording a vocal reel, getting a show reel done, getting some scenes, working with them, reaching out to people, emailing people. Yeah, if you're coming at it from that angle, it's tough, and being freelance is tough. Um, but if you love it enough and you can like manage to keep the passion alive somehow, it is more likely to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah, that's good. That's good advice. Yeah, I can see
yeah.
how that would come together. So again, this is something I'm more so just curious about. I'm just spitballing at this point. What's sort of been like the coolest place you've performed? Because I imagine you've been all over.
The coolest place. I did a job in Paris for 4 months, which was very fun. We were at the Lido, which is on the Champs Elysees. You have like the Arc de Triomphe and then the Champs Elysees, and our theatre was on there. And we were the inaugural production at that house. They'd not done musicals before, so that was really cool to be a part of. But I would say the coolest, I don't know, because I have different memories and different things attached to all of the different jobs. My first job was Back to the Future at the Adelphi, which is just a great theatre. I just love the front of house. I love the people that work in the
Great show
building.
as well.
Great show. It was so fun. It was so fun. And the cast was like, it's one of the best years of my life. Um, is it a cool place though? I don't know. It's just theatre on the Strand.
I'll be
Maybe.
honest. I'm shocked you said anywhere that wasn't in the UK.
Yeah.
When you said Paris, I was like, oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of other theatres that I am desperate to do things in. Like Regent's Park, the open air. I would love to do something at the Curve. I would love to do something at Chichester. I would love to do something. Well, I have done in the round. I was about to say in the round, but Cabaret was in the round. So, so I have done that. Yeah, I think there's lots of things I want. I just want to do everything, all the different
Yeah.
theatres.
In fact, you're sort of touching on that. What's like I mean, I know you've had roles where sort of they've already been this kind of thing, but what is sort of your dream role? If you could pick from the sky any role you could take on, what would it be?
Hmm. Do you know,
Or
it's
have you already done
really
it?
Sally was one of them.
Yeah.
My other dream part since I was a teenager is Kathryn in Newsies. I don't know if you know it. Do you know
I
it?
don't think I'm familiar. No.
She's oh, and the other one is Reno Sweeney in Anything Goes. If you know that,
Oh, right. Yeah. Mhm.
both of them are these like bolshy women in a world full of men, which is most female parts of that. But they belt their tits off, they tap, they dance, they sing, they have emotive moments and comedy moments, and I just love all of that. I love the full package.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said as well about sort of the kinds of roles women get to play in theatre that really represent something so much bigger. I
Yeah,
really, yeah, I think it's wonderful as well because I think it's a medium. Again, not to try and get controversial or anything, but I think theatre is a medium that attracts people who are generally more understanding of social issues and things. And I
yeah,
think you get to pass on messages in theatre that are so much more thought provoking and so much more real than you can in something like a movie that's more mainstream where people can just go to a theater to watch it or rent it, whatever. If you go into a
yeah,
theater, you're actually going to see something that you actively know sort of ish what you're going into.
yeah.
And yeah, I think it really does give that leeway to have these roles that, like I said, do represent this wider message toward women's, place in the world, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think maybe my dream role it maybe hasn't been made yet. I think there's always new stuff being written and being written. I just said that. There's always new stuff being written, but the more stuff that we can have written by British writers, by women, because there's not enough of those, the more realistic and full like representations of women is going to get on stage. So we need more. So if you're a writer, do more of that and let me know when you're finished.
I Yeah, I mean, have you considered giving it a shot,
Writing.
or is that
Oh, do you know? I wish I had more of an urge because I think I have stuff to say, but I don't think I'm the best writer. And I need the time, I would need the real urge to sit down and do it. Um, Not yet, but possibly one day.
not yet? I mean, there's always producing as well. It's like there's so
Yeah,
so many avenues. You've got the
yeah,
experience. It's like I reckon you could totally make that leap.
maybe. I'm a bit too obsessed with being on stage at the moment, so I'll stick with that for a bit longer.
I can't blame you there. It's an experience like no other, isn't it? So yeah, you've got Cruel Intentions at the minute. Is there any sort of any other roles you sort of eyeing up that you might have in the future, or do you not know anything yet? Or at
I
least am
have
I
got a
not
job
allowed to
after
know anything
this.
yet?
I have got a job after this, but no, it's not been announced, so I unfortunately cannot share.
No exclusive for me. That's my thumbnail out the window.
So sorry.
Nah, you're all right. Well, it's been wonderful speaking with you. I think we've gotten some really good information, especially about Cruel Intentions and yourself there.
Yeah,
So
cool.
yeah,
Come
thank you.
along.
Hey, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. When and where?
Honestly, where is this going out to? Like the UK? Because we're going all over the
Yeah, yeah,
UK.
okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm in York myself.
we were literally in York last week. We've done York. We're in Leeds in a few weeks, though.
Leeds, okay.
Yeah.
Right. I'll have to have a look. Don't be surprised if you do see me turn up. I do like a good musical, to be honest.
Great.
Right. Well, yeah, it has been absolutely wonderful, and yeah, might get to see you there.
Wicked. Thanks for having me.